want to ask you about how close we're getting to some other sports here, KT. And, of course, you're involved with our NHL coverage as a host of NHL Live and our broadcasts. There's a meeting today going on, Gary Bettman involved. Where are we in terms of talking about the next steps in a phase 2, if you will, to get the NHL back on ice somewhere here during this year?
Yeah, well, this is definitely part of the process. Gary Bettman meeting with his corps of intelligence, if you will, to try and discuss what the possibility would be if we are to resume the season, the regular season, and then, of course, the playoffs as well. They are meeting today to discuss 4 possible sites that they could host these cities and have teams coming to those cities to play divisional rounds and to play, of course, in the postseason. But those meetings are ongoing. They happen every day, pretty much. But this is a very important one for Gary Bettman and his team. He met with the Board of Governors yesterday, and they discussed the possibility of moving up the draft to June 5th. That was scheduled for the weekend of the 26th and the 27th of June. And really moving the draft up would allow for some, off-ice business to take precedent right now when we don't have the sport playing, so that when we do resume playing, it's one less thing on the calendar we're going to have to worry about come, let's say, September, if that's when the Stanley Cup final ends and you're rushing to restart the regular season as well. So there are a lot of really important conversations going on this week. I know that protocol and the testing of the protocol is very paramount right now for the league. How they get those tests, if they get those tests, of course, without jeopardizing getting those tests to the community and the people that are symptomatic versus the asymptomatic NHL players. So all of these conversations are very important. It is looking like a possibility that this could really start to happen, bring players back maybe by the end of May and start training camps in June.
Kathryn, what are you hearing in the other conversations? And that's the conversations you're having with players around the league, whether you're taping things for our Hockey Happy Hour or other programming around re-airs of NHL games. What's the sense you're getting in conversations with players about their appetite to get back at it?
Yeah, I would say, Mike, it's not an overwhelming majority that want to resume this regular season, especially the players that are far on the outside looking in right now, the teams that would be eligible for that first pick in the NHL draft if they go back to a June 5th date and the 2012 way that they would do the NHL draft, which would be the Detroits, Ottawa, Anaheim, San Jose, LA. Those teams are not really anxious to resume the regular season right now. And a lot of players are concerned about safety, number 1, injuries, number 2. If you do come back and a player gets hurt, that's a huge problem, especially players that are going to be free agents come July 1st. So I would say that players are hesitant right now. They're also coming from all parts of the world, Mike. The NHL allowed their players to go home to Russia, to Sweden, even Canada. I mean, those borders to the United States are still closed right now. So there is major concern among players if they do resume play and they have to quarantine and be in certain cities for, let's say, a 2-month span. If their team continues to play and do well and push for that Stanley Cup, that's time that they're away from their families. And some of these guys are new dads. They're expecting new babies maybe on the way, or they just don't want to be that far away from their family for that amount of time. So those will be conversations that the NHLPA has with the NHL, and I know that they are ongoing as well. But I'm curious to hear. You've got Keith Yandle coming up on the show later on today, and I know he's involved in those chats, so we'll see what he has to say.